Hey everybody, it's time for another video on our favorite fitness guru YouTuber, Jason Blaha Strength and Bullshit Fitness. Yes, my friends. He's got a video, protein overfeeding does work for lean gains, but people will not do it. So protein overfeeding. I told you he's copying my videos. I told you that, bro. Protein overfeeding. Remember what I said? Protein synthesis needs to exceed breakdown. So he's trying to use a fancy word. Protein overfeeding does work for lean gains, but people will not do it. That's what I tried to tell you. It's not that they won't do it. It's the difficulty of it. The bar is extremely high. I didn't even watch this video, but I'll watch it with you. Let's review what he says. How he's stealing my content now.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about, protein overfeeding, and it's something that I've brought up in podcasts and stuff I've brought up in the past. It's things I've discussed studies on. My friend Alex Leaf did a protein overfeeding study, and the issue with protein...
There's no such, it's protein overfeeding studies. Everybody knows in science, it's protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. You understand me? To build muscle. That's all it is.
Overfeeding is not that it doesn't work, it's that people won't do it.
Well, that's what I've been mentioning in all my videos. No, people will try to do it. The problem is they're stuck on the herbivore diet, which is anti-nutrient. And so they eat more herbivore than they would eat protein, because to them, they can't fathom they can't fathom that their natural diet is a protein diet. That's what you're meant to eat, that you'd be eating that the whole time. But you're so addicted to the fake muscles that herbivore diets create. That's the reason why you won't do it. Because once you've got hooked on something that creates something fake and easy and fast, you won't do something that's more difficult and natural. You understand me? That's why you opt for the inflammation in the muscles by chronically lifting and inflaming your muscles, walking around with inflamed hypertrophy muscles. And then the herbivore diet, the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, the artificial muscle growth through glycogen loading in the muscles to artificially inflate your muscles to make them appear as if you have muscles. That's the difference. So the bar, it's different. It's just people are just not understanding.
They simply will not do it. They feel it.
Because they don't understand it. That's like, Peterson. He said that, I never knew you could just live off a meat diet. What do you mean you never knew you could? That's your natural diet. You could live off anything, basically. Why do you think vegans are like, I didn't know I could only live off vegan, but then they can't because it lacks nutrients. That's why all the vegans are dropping off, complaining about their hair falling out, their teeth, and they're disintegrating. That is the problem, because meat, it doesn't lack one nutrient and is pure protein. And so when you eat it, you actually build real muscle. But the problem is, muscle keeps breaking down. So the problem is, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill. You have to try to keep that growth going to the point where you have to eventually you get what you want and then you maintain it, but you're not doing that. And you can't see yourself just eating a carnivore diet.
It's unsustainable. They can't get that much protein in. They can't afford it. This is an issue even for clients of mine.
You can. It's the problem is the herbivore diet is anti-nutrient, and so even if you did eat this protein, they're anti-nutrient. The herbivore diet, fake engineered man-made vegetables and fruits are anti-nutrient when you even eat the meat, so it blocks it.
Something that we have to have a conversation about. When everyone talks about lean gains, they talk about recompositioning. They talk about these things to the point where maybe calories aren't even that important because you'll recomp anyways if your programming is really good and you train hard. It's when we protein overfeed. But what people don't realize is how expensive it is and how hard it can be for people to sustain. Okay? Because again, palatability becomes a problem. Because when I say protein over...
Palatability, you should talk about, no, it's really you're addicted. It's your addictions. It's not palatability. He's going to say palatability. The truth is, it's your addictions. You're addicted to these fake man-made foods. That is your problem, and you can't stop. and if you did, you're in remission, like a drug addict, because all sugar's a drug, man. Honestly, it's a drug.
Feeding, I don't mean eating 200 grams. I'm talking we're getting up to 1.5 or higher grams of protein per pound of body weight. In other words,
that's what I was saying. He's copying me. What I even wrote in the comments section. They asked how many grams of protein should I eat? I go as much as you could eat, 800 to 1,000. I said, even in the video. And one's like, that I can't do that. Well, then if you can't, then don't. You see, you can't. You say you can't. You can and you can't. You understand me? You can and you can't. Both win.
Like 300 grams of protein for a male who lifts is kind of your baseline for protein overfeeding.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it, man. 300 is not going to cut it, Jason. And I know you're watching my videos because you love Master T. You did a video on me. You love Genetic Beast, bro, because I'm a genetic beast. You're learning off my experiences now. You're hacking off me, are you now?
Okay, that's kind of your
Why don't you tell your viewers the truth about how they're inflamed their muscles?
baseline, and you're probably going to want to go higher.
If that's the truth, if protein overfeeding is what builds muscles, then what are you building, Jason, if you're not doing that? You're saying nobody else can do that. It doesn't work because people will not do that. And that means that you won't do it either. So what are you doing? Faking it with inflammatory muscles, inflaming those muscles, chronic lifting, and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, eating the vegan diet, bro, herbivore diet.
So when you say this, people don't understand.
Jason is actually admitting to you in this video that he's not building any muscles, that his training is to fake you out, to keep you inflamed and guessing, to create inflamed muscles, fake hypertrophy muscles through chronic inflammation, and sarcoplasmic muscles, eating a herbivore diet. His pumpkins on his videos where he's eating all his yogurt with sugar in it, and his watermelons, and whatever else he's fucking eating there. I don't know, man. Some other crappy man-made food.
Understand what it involves. Like if you're on a budget, you can't protein overfeed. And I think that's one.
If you're on a budget, no, that's why nobody can build their muscles. Money builds muscles. Look, money in man's world, and really truly in this world, in nature you could possibly do it, eat as much animals as you want if you were a hunter. But in man's world, because it's so controlled, you got a slave. Your slave jobs, your slave money is just not enough. So you have to eat this slave food. But if you had enough slave money, you probably could afford to eat that. Now, money builds everything in this world. Wars are run off money. Everything, the economy, everything is run off money. If you want to build something, you need money to build a car, this, that, a gym, whatever you want to build, a channel, information, you need money. You need funding, you need money. You can ask for funding. You can make a channel and say, listen, I'm a lifter. I need funding because I want to make a channel fitness and I need it to eat food. And most likely people would fund you and help you in your channel. I haven't done it on my channel. People ask me, why don't you do this and do that? Well, I should ask them, will you fund it? If you fund me, then I'll do these things on my channel and show you what I could do physically, even at my old age. But if you're not willing to fund me, why should I put in the effort? You understand? Even Jason Blaha needs to eat too. Come on. The guy has a channel, okay? I don't know if he has real clients or not. He's looking for clients. He's still a person. He needs to live somehow. This costs money. This equipment that he has, his rent, his food. He's still a human being. He has to live. Whether I'm making funny videos about this or not, explaining what he's doing wrong or he's not doing wrong, it's based on opinion and some facts. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the guy's like any other human being. You understand me? But yeah, anyways, let's get on with the funny part of the video.
The biggest obstacles for people is they're either going to have to find really cheap protein that they can tolerate, but then they start.
No, I do not hate Jason Blaha's Strength and Fitness channel. I do not hate Jason. If anything, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't hate anybody online. I actually like all these guys. When I'm talking about them, I'm doing in the context of funny, parody stuff, okay? The truth is, I don't hate any of these guys. And I don't even hate what they're doing. I'm explaining this is chronic inflammation through science. I'm explaining some things with facts and opinions. And I'm telling you the truth, what it is. You could hate me or like me for doing that. Maybe that's considered negative to you. I don't know. To some people, putting out real information could be negative. I don't know. It's not all negative. I'm just simply putting out what you're doing. I'm not saying these are all bad things. I'm saying these are the repercussion of things to come. Do you understand me? That's the difference. It's not what you think you know. It's what you don't know that hurts you. So it's good to know these things and to watch out for them. That's all. That's all I'm doing.
Looking at stuff like eggs, for example. But that's not going to work because if you're eating that many grams of protein from eggs, your fat intake is astronomically high. And then we're getting...
No, your fat intake is not astronomically high. From egg intake, you could the burn patients were eating 36 eggs a day. It keeps you anabolic. Back in the day, I could buy a pack of eggs, I think 12 eggs for 99 cents. And I was eating, I think, a pack to 2 packs a day. I was eating 2 packs a day, 2 dozen eggs a day. And that even wasn't enough at that time. And I was still eating at the buffet, this, that, to build my body the way I wanted it, because I knew it had to be in an anabolic growth state. And in order to keep it in that growth state, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. In order to exceed that breakdown, you need to be in an anabolic growth state. You need to shut off the catabolic hormone, convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen so it doesn't have to compete with the muscle androgen receptor. So therefore, you shut off all this breaking down of the protein, and now you're building protein and it's never breaking down. And even when I went to the gym, I would eat protein. So there was never a chance for it to break down because whatever was in my system, there was protein in there to compensate for any breakdown, that it would constantly be in an anabolic growth state. That's why they say you should eat protein before you go to the gym, eat protein after you come from the gym constantly. So you can counteract the breakdown and keep building instead of breaking. But you go to the gym, you're actually breaking proteins down. You're not building with a weight. You're breaking proteins. So how could a weight be building muscle if you're breaking proteins down? And now you're not compensating for that. And then you get these people, well, I'm gonna do intermittent fasting and go to the gym fasted and lift the weight. Are you crazy, man? Now you're really super breaking down protein and using that and using your resources, whatever's left in there, as energy. This is crazy. How could you build muscle?
Getting into the point where this is not going to work because now you're eating thousands of calories of fat. Okay, this is a problem. So that's one of the issues I've seen even with clients.
No, you're not eating man, eggs are not fat, bro. It's protein. What the hell are you talking about? He's lying to you guys. Stop listening to this bullshit.
Some people say, yeah, but they can afford your coaching. Well, eating 400 grams of protein a day costs more than my coaching does. You see where we're going with this?
Yeah, that's why they don't need coaching. What they need is food to build muscles. Anybody could lift anything and pull a weight or anything. You need food. That's why you don't need coaching. But they need you as coaching so they can fake it by doing it fake, artificially. Inflaming muscles, artificially, chronically inflaming them, and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Eating a slave diet. Yeah.
Your diet will cost you more than my coaching. By for some people, a significant margin, because I charge $300 a month for coaching right now. When people start doing the math and they realize what 400 grams of protein a day costs them, unless they're finding the cheapest, most bottom of the bucket protein sources they can find.
Not necessarily. There are sales. Man, if you live in the United States, there are sales everywhere. You could buy things cheap. You look around, there's sales. You could stock up on a lot of stuff on sale. Put it in your fridge, stock up on it. Vary how you eat. Don't use up all your energy. Don't chronically lift often. That's another thing. Do less reps than sets if you're lifting. If you just want to build mass on the myofibrillar, if you want to cause myofibrillar damage, well, that's separate. That training is totally different. That's something I can teach you. Jason can't, because he doesn't understand that, and he doesn't want to.
For long, what's their protein running now?
Again, you need a lot of protein for that too. You get what they call an apoptosis. Even, let's say people got some damage every so often, they get damaged and they're sore for a couple of days, whatever. If you don't compensate with enough protein, you'll get an apoptosis. So now these muscle fibers that did get these micro damages, they die and go away. They die. You actually lose muscle fibers if it becomes apoptosis. That apoptosis means that the fibers die. They don't repair and they don't remodel because there's nothing there. They just die, and your macrophage comes and cleans it up, and you piss it out, you shit it out, goes away. So now you're losing muscle fibers. That is horrendous.
$600, $700 a month, maybe. Depending upon where you live and what's available, particularly if they're eating buried protein. Like, let's say they find really cheap chicken breasts and they can eat.
That's why I try to say in my videos, it is extremely hard to build real muscles naturally in the natural world to build it. I'm not talking about fake artificial diets and fake artificial muscles, eating artificial food to create artificial muscles, or taking artificial hormones or whatever the fuck you're doing there, or artificially inflaming your muscles or whatever. Those things are easy to do because they're practically cheap or free.
3 pounds of chicken every day. Okay, fine. But what if you can't?
Yeah, chicken's not the greatest protein to build muscle. You really need to eat raw meat. Raw as possible if you could. Beef would be the best option. But yeah, you can eat fish and stuff is good for you. Mackerel and things like that. You can buy them in the dollar store. Mackerels. You can eat a lot of mackerel. Eat a lot of fish. It's cheap. Look around. It's cheap, cheap, cheap. Look for the cheapest stuff. That is good stuff. The good stuff that's cheap in price.
But even then, what's the math on something like that? If you're paying $3 a pound, that's not, we're getting up to like $300 a month just for chicken. And that is, again, if you can tolerate that much chicken all day, every day, 7 days a week. Okay, that's a problem for protein overfeeding. The other is the satiety. People are like, I just can't stand to force that much protein down. Again, people wonder why I recommend.
No, you can eat a lot of protein. It's all relative if you're on a protein diet. But if you're on a herbivore diet, then that's when it becomes complicated because your stomach is constantly inflamed and it's busy trying to digest this fiber from plants, which you can't digest. So it clogs up your stomach and your intestines. It's just like one big ball of like wool in there. Never passes, so then it just doesn't work. That's why meat can't pass through normally. If you eat meat, it passes through really fast, digests quickly. The more raw it is, the quicker it goes through.
Bulking and cutting. They wonder why. Maybe you should just slow bulk and then cut later. Because they're not going to protein overfeed like this. And what people have to remember, the protein overfeeding, when we do this and recommend this, it's because we're chasing body composition, not muscle growth. You're not going to gain more muscle. In other words, if you're in a small calorie surplus and say eating 150 grams of protein a day and maybe gaining a little body fat with it, you're not going to gain less muscle than the protein overfeeding. Okay, so if you go from that 150 or even 200 up to 400 grams a day trying to protein overfeed, you're not going to gain more muscle from the extra protein. It's going to slow or remove fat gain. In some cases, it will promote fat loss, because what we also find is that when the thermic effect and everything nets out from it, sometimes you'll gain muscle in a small calorie deficit while doing this. Okay?
Well, you'll become lean. You definitely will lose fat, and you lose a lot of this glycogen and this weird weight that you're carrying, herbivore weight. You stop eating that and just eat protein. Here's a question. What if you were just to eat protein throughout the day? See what I mean? And not a herbivore diet. Would it interfere with you? Have you ever tried that to see what type of muscle you would build by just eating protein throughout the day and not eating a herbivore diet, a fake diet? That's another way to find out. So it doesn't interfere, since herbivore diets are anti-nutrient.
It's not just that the surplus and deficits are what's required as far as muscle growth goes. It's the high protein intake matters. So yes, this is what the data does show, that you can take protein intake up so high to...
Not necessarily. If you were to eat protein throughout the day, let's say you ate throughout the day, 3, maybe 4 meals throughout the day, but you didn't expel that much energy, and you came into the gym every so often, and you did it in such a way that you didn't try to break down too much muscle, but you used enough as a stimulus to open a window for protein synthesis. Let's just put it that way. Let's just say that, okay? Let's just say that. You don't necessarily need that, but you do that. What would happen? The question is, what would happen? Well, you would have to go and try and find out for yourself. But that is only mass on the muscle. That isn't myofibrillar growth. That is fiber growth. You're trying to get more proteins onto the fiber. But again, it will reach a myonuclear domain size limit where the progenitor, the satellite cell, is no longer donating any more extra nuclei to further that growth. However, could you push it? Could you still grow by forcing it? It's a possibility. It definitely is a possibility. But now, as you get bigger and stronger by getting more muscle, you have to compensate with more protein to maintain that which you've gained, and then therefore to gain more muscle. Do you understand how this works? And that is the problem. So every time you do gain more of this mass on the myofibrillar, let's say you gain more mass on the myofibrillar, you try to push this domain by gaining more mass, by forcing the satellite cell to try to donate some nuclei, by forcing it, which is really, really, really hard. Now you need to maintain that mass which you already gained by compensating, by eating more protein, and then more protein to try to force that mass to go further. You understand that? Yeah. By keep constantly doing that. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. It's very difficult. Me, I opt for myofibrillar growth. I like growing more fibers and then growing the mass on those fibers. That's all I like doing. You understand that? That too has a relative difficulty to it as well. And that's why bodybuilding, real bodybuilding is difficult. But if you think steroids are building a muscle, you're wrong. Protein builds muscle. Steroids don't build muscles. They don't build muscles at all whatsoever. Yeah, they're enhanced performing drugs. That's why they call them enhanced performing. They don't call them muscle building drugs. They could help you by suppressing these fat, the triglyceride in the fat cells, looking really lean and stuff, taking anabolics. Then energetics, when you lift weights, you're actually getting a herbivore diet. You're getting sarcoplasmic muscles. It's pumping glycogen in the muscles is what you're doing. That's why you're getting the pump. You feel like you're so pumped. Try to get pumped on just protein and not a herbivore diet, carbohydrates, what these bodybuilders are doing. So then they eat more and more carbohydrates because they see more mass coming on, more weight coming on. So they get addicted to it. You understand me? But carbohydrates don't build muscles. They build sarcoplasmic muscles. Protein builds muscles. So even if you were on steroids, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. You understand me?
Where calories themselves can become less important for net protein synthesis, right?
For every extra pound you gain in real muscle, if you were doing this with protein, you need to compensate with another gram of protein for each pound. Yeah.
And in that case, a person can gain muscle without a calorie surplus. But that is a hypothetical because, again, a lot of people can't sustain it. They have to eat that much protein all the time to pull this off.
Yeah, that's how you build muscle. You have to eat protein all the time to build muscle. That's how you build muscles. That's why I told you guys, he's admitting he's a fake channel. You understand me? If protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown, look it up in Google, then that must mean if he's not promoting that, then what exactly is he promoting? Fake strength to lift something heavy off the floor. Myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength but not the mass of the limb muscles. What controls the mass of the limb muscles? Protein synthesis does. Get it? Must exceed that breakdown. Now what controls that strength, you pulling things off the floor? Myocytic androgen receptor. You're accumulating more receptors for the androgens to bind to them. So that giving you that forced production. It's fake. It'll go away in 10 days really fast if you go away. See? So he promotes stuff that you could do easily, which you can't afford. You can't afford to build your body big and strong. Therefore, lift a heavy weight and pretend you're strong. Get it? Because you can't eat. And then let's pretend we have muscles by inflaming them constantly, by lifting. Chronic inflammation, and then maybe some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, eating a slave diet, complex carbohydrates because they're cheap. A bag of potatoes is like $1 for 10-pound bag of potatoes. It's like 50 cents to $1. You understand me? Why you're all fished in? And this, and if anything, doing all of this is chronically aging you, because chronic inflammation of any kind, it ages you, accelerates aging. Get it? Lifting and all this, it ages the shit out of you, gives you disease and fucks you, gives you more cellular damage than senescent cells, bro. Why would you want to do that and destroy yourself? Think about that. Ponder that thought.
Right. So again, it becomes a problem. The other thing is, if they're not going to work their fruits and vegetables and other stuff in, they'll develop dietary deficiencies. This is where the carnivore people run into problems. They sometimes pull this off because, like, I'm eating 4 pounds of meat a day of leaner meat, and then they don't have room for vegetables because they're so stuffed from the protein. Well, they develop dietary deficiencies. They get gut health problems, because they go that route. It's stupid. So this is the situation.
They do get deficiencies if they do stupid shit.
Situation you have. It works. You can actually recomposition this way. The science behind it is legit. The theory behind it's legit.
What do you mean? Everybody recomps their body on protein, on a high protein diet. They dump all the herbivore diet. They try. At least they try. Oh, they eat some beans and stuff. They think vegetables. Nah, man. The vegetables don't do anything. They're anti-nutrient. Or they take fake drugs to do this, to fake the look. Get it? Like you, Jason, TRT.
It works pretty well.
How's that TRT working for you? You're not so good, man. The dad bod. You're getting sarcopenia. Your legs look really skinny, and your calves. Your arms are skinny, and you have a big waist area. So this is sarcopenia.
Lab. The problem we run into is appetite constraints, palatability constraints. And those can oftentimes be avoided by picking better foods that we enjoy more.
Wow, he really practiced this one. He sounds intelligent. He almost sounds intelligent here. Shit.
But then we start running into the budget side. We start to have budget issues. There's a finance.
No, that's why people with money can build their bodies, not poor people. That's why people in offices and stuff, and the elite people, at least they eat much better. Look at them. They look massive. They don't even work out.
Implication. And for a lot of people, that is the deal breaker. And I really mean that.
So in other words, what you're saying is, if you can't eat good food and just lift this is an unhealthy sport. You're just proving it here. You're proving to us all this is an unhealthy sport, lifting, because you can't eat healthy food. You eat crap. That's even worse.
It's because once they get through the palatability, they find stuff that works a little better to eat. But before long, people are like, I have $1,000 a month grocery bill for just me. And in some countries, protein costs even more.
Yeah, it does. I put my protein, I buy a lot of stuff on sale. And I buy a lot of meat right now, and I put it in my freezer. I freeze it. I freeze all of it. And as I replenish it with, if I want, I can go buy things on sale. If I really truly need to save money, I don't. But if I do, I would replenish it with sales. You understand me? You just keep replenishing, stocking it up. It's actually cheaper to eat meat, I find. And dairy's expensive. The only thing I would buy is eggs. And maybe some milk sometimes, but even that's $45. I don't like the milk here. If I could get raw milk, it would be better. But yeah, eggs, whatever. You get these eggs, and the rest I wouldn't buy. Just that eggs. Eggs is really expensive here right now. Even though it is subsidized by the government, they're super expensive. It's practically $5 for like extra large eggs, 12 extra large eggs, which is insane. But meat, I can buy meat right now. Still, I could buy like a sirloin roasts and things like that, which I cut them up like steaks. There was like $6.99 a pound. They just went up to $7.99 a pound, where I usually buy it cheap. But I still get it for $6.99 a pound, sometimes $5.99 a pound, which is not bad actually, when you think about it. So yeah, you could cut that up and eat about like, even 4 good chunks of that a day is pretty good, with about, I'd say, 6 eggs in the morning. So that's a pretty good chunk of protein there. And maybe a glass of milk if you need. And I don't know what else you could add there as protein. Some fish in the afternoon or whatever. If you can even manage that, you'd be fine and not expel too much energy. Don't do cardio whatsoever. Like, you think cardio is running. You're getting enough cardio lifting weights, so why the hell would you do that?
Than in the U.S. Okay, it's a financial issue. And people just think buying a bunch of expensive, useless supplements is bad. Wait till you're trying to buy this much whole protein foods.
Supplements are useless. They're absolutely useless. They're for slave people. They're actually fake. They're waste products. These supplements that you're buying are all waste products. That's what they are. They're toxic.
That are not loaded with a bunch of other things like really high fat and stuff, right? It's a budget issue, but
He's wrong about eggs being this high fat thing. Your mitochondria work better on a high fat protein diet. Look, I'm gonna explain this. If you buy meat at the market, buy a lot of fatty meat. But lean, I found that medium ground beef. I try to find it as fatty as I can when I buy this ground beef. The fattier the better, so it's going to be cheaper because they're trying to get rid of the fat. They're dumping it in there. You can even buy fat and grind it up and throw it in with meat and grind it up yourself. You want a high fat protein diet. Your mitochondria run better on that fat, so it'll use that as energy, and it won't use up the protein as energy. That'll be used to build muscles. You understand me? It'll preserve it. So the truth is, you should be. That's why I eat a lot of bacon now. I eat a lot of fatty bacon. I like fatty bacon, but that's about the only thing I eat in pork is fatty bacon. But yeah, a lot of ground up beef, fatty beef is excellent. Bacon, if you could buy it cheap, it's usually cheap. But fatty beef is the best. Beef is the best meat, and fatty beef at that. And so you should make a lot of that with your eggs in the morning. Eat a lot of that. That'll keep you going throughout the day. Buy a lot of ground fatty. The most fatty meat that you could get is going to be the best and the cheapest in the market. Believe me, you can manage somehow. Trust me.
I want to point out, if you will make yourself do it, if you have the budget for it, okay, it will work. People can.
What do you mean it will work? Of course it works. This is so stupid. How could something not work that has substance to it and not trying to rely on a piece of metal to build muscle or air, breatharian diet? Duh.
Recomposition, even as non-novice lifters on this sort of approach. It can.
I'm actually doing that now. I'm actually doing that now. High fat protein diet.
Be done very successfully.
No.
But you have to be willing.
No, really?
To do it. Your diet and your life has to revolve heavily around both protein and then also saying, hey man, I'm eating so much protein, I'm also going to need to get fiber and
That's not so hard. Look, if you truly want to cheat once in a while, have a chocolate bar or something because you're like, oh man, I miss my drugs, my drug diet, my herbivore diet, shit, yeah, I want to eat some grass. Eat some grass once in a while. Have a donut, but don't do it often. Understand me? Stick to a high protein, high fat diet, and you're gonna make it. Trust me. All of you are.
Micronutrients and phytonutrients and stuff. I'm gonna have to get my vegetables and other stuff. Okay. And it doesn't matter that a lot of the protein is.
No, vegetables don't have anything. They're anti-nutrient. They have oxalates. They got toxins, and they got sugar in it. You can't build anything with vegetables and man-made engineered vegetables and fruits.
Converting to glucose, we're still getting all this anabolic effect and thermic effect.
No, you're not getting an anabolic effect or a thermal effect eating sugar, bro. No, you're not going to get that. It's going to be the opposite. Actually, you're going to start aging yourself faster.
So I want to be clear, it does work.
I had to go back and read the science on that and try to understand it. Yeah, it's the opposite.
But people won't do it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah, man, I don't know what else to say there either. That is what you need. So it's funny he put out this video. He probably had second thoughts because my videos are coming out, and he's probably making him upset because I'm telling the truth and his viewers are watching them and asking him about it. Who knows? They're writing him for sure, especially that Prophet Bimbo. But yeah, man, I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. It helps, bro. See you in the next one. Badoski. Ciao.